DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts. It's the week of Tuesday, January 7th, and you're listening to episode 90 of DuckTalks. Hiatus again. We are still here even though there are no new episodes of DuckTales. This is DuckTalks. We are a DuckTales and Disney Afternooniverse fan podcast. And we're just here to talk about some ducks, Disney ducks specifically. We don't do a lot of duck hunting. Actually, I don't know that I've ever been duck hunting. I've watched ducks.
You didn't have like the regular Nintendo?
Oh, duck hunt? Oh, yeah. I played a lot of that duck hunt. But, you know, up against the screen, sliding the blaster across, getting told, you know, stop that before you scratch up the TV.
Either.
Yeah, I had a Game Genie, too.
Oh, I did, too.
Yeah, I had to have a Game Genie. Oh, we've dated ourselves.
I don't need it for duck hunting.
I wonder if there were any codes for duck hunt.
Like, maybe if you put in a code, like, the dog doesn't laugh at you.
How many times do you think you shot the dog as opposed to the ducks?
Oh, yeah, it's true.
That was part of the game. That was in the design. There's not a lot of news going on right now. There's not a lot of things that we can talk about the show. We've not seen any information on when DuckTales is coming back, but we've got quite a few things in our notes to talk about, and let's just get to that. And before we do, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mitch. I'm one of your hosts, and joining me this week, I have Pirate Steven.
Ahoy there. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to talk to you about some darn good duck merch we found out about today, and I can't wait for that segment of the show. But we're not alone, Mitch, are we?
We're not alone. If I haven't edited out, there's been someone giggling in the background. We would like to introduce one of our friends from, the internet, where all of us are friends. We have Katie, but those of you who are listening who follow us on Twitter probably know her as StormChaser Katie.
Yes, hello. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for joining us. We like, having people from the community on so that we can talk about their fandom, especially when there's a hiatus. We can't talk about episodes.
Yeah. You just keep rewatching the same ones over and over, and they just stay the same awesomeness level as the first time you watched it.
It's a very bingeable show. That's one thing that I can say about it. I mean, there's lots of things that I can say about it, obviously, but that's one thing that I can say about it, is you can binge it.
Oh, the first time I watched the show, I watched the Della arc when she's on the moon, and I instantly went back and just started binge watching the whole series. I think I finished it in less than a week, which I wish I had spaced it out more, just because, there's a limited number of episodes, but man, that was a good week.
That's how the Disney Channel prefers for you to watch it.
Yeah.
Everything in the same week.
Yeah. Well, and that's how they premiere episodes, everything in the same week.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that when the block of 5 came out with Moonvasion, I did nothing that week. I was just waiting for those episodes to come out.
So what's your favorite episode, Ben? Is it the Della, Whatever Happened to Della?
Yeah, I think it has to be Whatever Happened to Della Duck, just because that was one of the first episodes I saw. And I actually went back on Twitter today just to see, because I remember I made a post about it. And the post read, in less than 30 minutes, I've become emotionally invested in DuckTales, as well as Stella Duck and her story. I'm a 22-year-old adult crying over a fictional duck meeting her kids for the first time. And that has stayed true.
They did a great job. I mean, it was a character that, we got hints of very early on in the series, and we were excited about the fact that they were going to tackle the character, and then they did it in such just a very, it's a poetic way. I mean, the way that you get Della's backstory, you get this mystery to Della, and then all of a sudden we finally get her story, and just like an episode, boom, here it is. And then after that, you get, the story taking place simultaneous to what's going on with the characters that we've already watched for a season. It was really well done.
it's brilliant. The writing that went into that was just, I'm still in awe of how they made that all work and tie together. And it's fantastic.
Well, Katie, you've already kind of dived into this by telling us that, about your introduction to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about your DuckTales fandom? Is that where it started? Did you watch the original show? Did you watch any of the Disney Afternoon? Or were there any other Disney Channel shows that you were a fan of? Kind of where did it start and how has it gone?
Yeah, I was a mid-90s baby, so I didn't really see a lot of the original DuckTales. More of a Nickelodeon kind of person, and since I've gone to college, I've really gone more into Disney, and I kind of have done this whole thing backwards because I started mid-season 2 of DuckTales, the reboot, and now I'm going back and I'm starting to watch the OG DuckTales, and it's completely opposite of what pretty much everyone else in our little online community has done. And so it's been interesting going back and watching the original and comparing it to the 2017 and just the amount of tie-ins and Easter eggs that they fit into this new show. Like gummy bears. Like, oh my gosh. So now I'm going back and watching that show. And so I'm just basically really glad Disney Plus is a thing.
It's a great time to be introduced to DuckTales and to the Disney Afternoon for sure, because, I mean, the vast majority of it is available to you. And although we've not seen the numbers of exactly how many people have Disney Plus, it appears to be a large number.
Oh, yeah. And I know you guys are pushing it out, and so am I, that people just should watch DuckTales. It's just such a good show.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people are like, what do I do now that Mandalorian has been done? And people are discovering DuckTales because, of course, that's the number 2 thing on Disney Plus right now.
Oh, it's honestly, it's one of the best shows, I think, especially for nowadays. You touched on it. I'm StormChaser Kate. I'm a meteorologist. And for 2 hours every morning when I go to work, I have a little earpiece in my ear and I just hear nonstop world news, which, is really depressing. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so attached to DuckTales, is because I think it's honestly such a healthy escape from all the doom and gloom that the world is, because it makes you feel better about the world and just relationships with people. And it's definitely something that I think a lot more people are going to get into once they see the reboot and, that nostalgia kicks in and they see just how brilliant the writing is on this one.
So you had a great idea for one of your weather forecasts to do a Duckburg one.
Yes. I think that was the point at work, because I'm still new at my job, where people realized what was really going on with my brain and how it's so nerdy. I made a thing called a Fandom Forecast. As far as I know, I'm the only one who does it, and I hope it stays that way because I absolutely love it. And I made a whole graphics package for the weather in Duckburg, from the mansion to the bin. I even did a moon forecast because this was before Moonvasion, and it was a blast, and that really kicked off this whole Fandom Forecast thing, and that's led down some very fun roads, as you guys have seen. I did a Star Wars one before The Rise of Skywalker came out, and Mark Hamill himself saw it and commented and thanked me for helping him plan his day. And let's just say I got that tweet when my family was celebrating Thanksgiving with all my other family around. We were at the dinner table. I see the notification come up, and I just dropped my phone on my plate. I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, you'll never believe this. And then all of a sudden the views start going up and up and up. I'm like, this is insane. People actually like what I'm doing. So there's definitely going to be more in the future. And when DuckTales comes back, you can bet I'm doing another one.
I'm sure all the people who listen to this podcast can hear the Della Duck in her voice, right?
We were talking about it earlier.
That is the highest compliment.
But so we know obviously what the community thought of like the Duckburg forecast and the Star Wars. What is like the local response for your forecast?
Everyone really likes it. I've had a couple people actually come up and recognize me, which is so strange. like I said, I'm new to this job, and people come up and they say, "Oh, I've seen your forecast. That one was really fun." And I'm sitting here, and it takes me a second to realize that strangers know who I am now. And so the community's had nothing but praise. Everyone that I work with has been fantastic. They're actually starting to get on what I'm doing, and I'm going to be bringing in some people from the community and have them do sort of cameo spots, like live reporters from, say, Ryza from Star Trek, something like that. And it's just this is going up and up and up and expanding, and I'm so happy to see it grow.
Well, that's a lot of fun. You should definitely get in touch with local conventions and get some stuff set up with them, because I'm sure they can get you in touch with to have background characters and stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I'm doing one for Doctor Who, and I went to our local comic book store, and the couple that owns the place are just massive Whovians. And I walked in, and I pretty much go at least once a week. I tell them what episode I'm watching on Doctor Who, because I'm new to that. And then I say, okay, I want to do this costume and this costume. I'm going to forecast for Gallifrey, like all the stuff. And they're telling me, okay, that is canon. This is not canon. Here's the scarf. Do you want a sonic screwdriver? So I'm definitely headed on that train. I'm hopefully they can get me in contact with some good people.
Now, the Doctor Who fandom is new for you, right? Was that what you were saying earlier?
It is. Yeah, I'd heard of Doctor Who. I knew what it was just through friends. And after watching DuckTales, I started looking up the actors. And, of course, David Tennant is just, oh my gosh. I had no idea how incredible he was until I started watching Doctor Who. And it's all because it all ties back into DuckTales, honestly, because I would never have watched Doctor Who really until I found out David Tennant voiced Scrooge. And so now I'm going back. I started with the 10th Doctor. And the reason I did so is actually because I promised David Tennant I would. I went to a convention in Minneapolis, and David unfortunately wasn't able to be there, but he Skyped in from his home. And I got to ask him a question about actually watching Doctor Who. And I told him, you're going to be my first Doctor. I love you as Scrooge. What can I expect? And he said, just start with the Christmas Invasion and go from there. And I'm just to the first episode of his third season with Donna. And I'm so sad because Amazon Prime took it off of Amazon Prime, so I don't have a way to legally watch it right now. So
that was going to be my question, because I knew it used to be on Prime.
Yeah, they just took it off. We didn't really have any warning. It just
that seems like a
popped up
mistake.
one day and, oh my gosh. And it's not going to be on another streaming service until May is what I'm hearing. I can't quite remember which streaming service it is, but it's pretty much gone at the moment unless you have BritBox. But even then, that's just old Doctor Who.
Yeah, so you've only watched the David Tennant seasons so far, or 3 of them.
Yep, I've only seen the David Tennant ones, and I am sort of dreading when he leaves, but I'm also excited to get to Matt Smith because he's going to be at C2E2 in Chicago at the end of February, and I'm going to hopefully meet him. So I got to catch up on his Doctor Who before I actually go and meet him.
I've really enjoyed David on DuckTales, and it's made me want to give Doctor Who another shot. I did try it once before. I had some friends who were really big fans of the show. Like, we were at a kid's birthday party, and there was this group of some of our friends, and they just started talking about it. And my wife was like, "What are they talking about?" Because it was kind of out there. And I was like, I think it's that show Doctor Who, but I've never seen it. So we sat down and tried it, but we didn't know where to begin. And like, I think Amazon Prime started with one of the very first Doctors, and it was in black and white maybe. And I was like, this isn't what we're going to watch. So, because you're just jumped right into some kind of time travel into Egypt storyline.
Oh, wow.
And
I'd recommend. Oh, sorry.
No, so we then moved forward to the one in the 90s, I guess, the early 90s, with the guy that was in, what was that movie that we recognized him from? Anyway, Gone in 60 Seconds. Wasn't that guy a doctor? The villain? I can't think of his name. Anyway.
Oh man, now I can't either.
Anyway, we couldn't get into it, and we did. And later, people said, no, you need to try at this point. And we never got around to it. So I'm disappointed to hear that it's off Prime, and I'll be keeping an eye out because I really enjoyed David in that, and I also enjoyed him in Jessica Jones. He played a very
next one I'm gonna start.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say, because I'd had no David Tennant Doctor Who experience before DuckTales, and I started watching Jessica Jones, and he plays the villain, Kilgrave, in that show, and before I knew he was on DuckTales, I'm like, this actor is awesome. I love his voice, and I found out he was going to be Scrooge McDuck, and I'm like, wow, I'm going to be a big fan of this guy because he is awesome.
Oh, yeah. If you guys haven't seen the new Doctor Who, a lot of the people recommend starting with either Christopher Eccleston, who was the 9th Doctor. He had one season before David Tennant, or David Tennant. And honestly, I kind of want to make a video explaining what you need to know if you're starting with the 10th Doctor, because you kind of have to know a little bit about his companion, Rose, and a little bit of the history of the Doctor. But honestly, if you start with the Christmas Invasion, watch season 1. I was so surprised how just incredibly mixed the stories were, because they have a lot of comedy, but then you have like horror and sci-fi all thrown together, and you wouldn't necessarily think that mixes, but they have that formula down to a T. And if you're fans of the show Sherlock, it's the same writers, and it's brilliant.
Oh, I enjoyed Sherlock. Yeah.
Oh, you would enjoy the New Age Doctor if you like Sherlock.
Okay.
There's one episode called Blink, and it'll remind you a lot of Sherlock.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have to be on the watch for when it hits streaming again.
For sure. I'm sure I'll put it on Twitter the second it hits.
So I know that in the Duck Knight Returns, an episode I've seen probably 100 times, that they have a reference, Doctor Who reference, when they have Scrooge McDuck wearing the 3D glasses, because I know that is a very memeable episode when he was in Doctor Who. Are there any other Doctor Who references in DuckTales that we might have missed?
Oh gosh, I'm sure there are. I haven't looked back since I started Doctor Who, so now I'm gonna have to be on the lookout for that. It's all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey space stuff, and anytime they mention space, of course, going to the moon or anything, I'm sure that they threw something in there.
Yeah, they're really good about that.
I know a lot of conventions that David's at, and whenever you see somebody wearing like a Scrooge McDuck / Doctor Who mashup shirt, he geeks out about. I know he loves that stuff.
That's what I absolutely adore about David Tennant, is how much he is a part of the community. He was a Doctor Who fan before becoming the Doctor. He knew DuckTales before being Scrooge. So he's a genuine fan of the work that he does, and you can so tell it. When I went to the convention in Minneapolis and he was talking, you could just tell he's such a genuine guy. And I can't wait to actually meet him in person, because I just want to thank him for all the stuff that he does.
I was going to say, you went to that Minneapolis convention, and you went in cosplay?
Yes, I did. The cosplay that tried to kill me. No, I went dressed as Stella Duck.
You didn't get in a rocket, did you?
No, I should have dressed up my car like a rocket and just pulled in like a boss. That would have been maybe next time. That would have been so cool. But I had made the Stella Duck costume just on a whim. I was like, this is going to be fun. I'm going to go by myself, so it should be a relatively easy one to do. And I mentioned this cosplay was out to get me. I cut this giant ornament that you hang on your trees outside, and I used that as the leg, as Stella's prosthetic leg, and it looked great. And I basically took the ornament and I stabbed it with a kitchen knife to cut out the holes, and that part went fine, believe it or not. But when I went to go and smooth out the edges, the knife accidentally, and cringe warning for any of you who are squeamish, the knife went and just sliced down to the bone on my index finger. And it was really bad. And I just wrapped it up. I was like, nope, I gotta finish this. And so I finished cutting it up. I didn't even go to the hospital for like a day and a half until the people at my work said, you can't come back until you get this checked. And so I got it checked. I luckily avoided stitches, mainly because it was too late and it had already started to heal, but that's fine. I had to get a whole tetanus shot thing, and I just felt really cool walking out of the hospital like, haha, it's Halloween and I got hurt making a costume. This is perfect. But I still have the scar from that, and unfortunately it wasn't healed when I went to the comic book convention. And so I had my finger all wrapped up, and I managed to get the fingerless gloves that Della had when she was on the moon, and some just loose cloth to wrap around my arm. And so it worked, but I'm sitting here like, okay, my finger is really kind of throbbing, but you know what? It's fine. You've been sitting outside this convention hall at 6 a.m. You're going to be first in line to see David. You're going to do it. And so I did, and I got to talk with David on Skype, and it was probably one of the best days ever. And it was my birthday, so it all worked out in the end.
Now, didn't you say he recognized, he saw the costume and made a comment?
He did. I walked up and I had the picture that Della had. I printed it out. I made it to scale for the costume. I am such a nerd. And I drew the boys on the back. And so I had that and a packet of Oxy Chew gum that I also made. And I had that with my full costume. And I walked up in front of the camera and David just goes, "Curse me kilts." And I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually, someone recorded me when I was asking the question, and you can see my brain just kind of reboot when he said that, because I was not prepared. It was one of the coolest moments ever. And he was so gracious about it. Just saying "Curse me kilts" from David Tennant live, easily one of the top 10 moments in my life.
And then you got to meet Catherine Tate at the same convention. So I feel like that convention's a big win.
It was a huge win. It was a huge Doctor Who one, so I'm kind of bummed that I wasn't already into the show. But I walked up to Catherine Tate, and she looks at me, and she's like, awesome. And so I'm like, can I take a picture with you? I'm a huge fan of Magic and Dispel. And she's like, oh, yeah, come here. And I actually looked at her, and she looked at me, and she's like, do you want to pretend to fight? I was like, yes. And this was, of course, before Moon Invasion. And so they still had that promo picture of the Glomgold's team versus Team Scrooge facing off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm living an actual cartoon, and it is so great. And she was awesome as well. She took probably 20 photos with me. It was the coolest thing.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. That's cool, because usually at the conventions, like, okay, $50 now.
Yeah. She was really nice. Everyone, there were a lot of Doctor Who people there, and I was really surprised at how relatively inexpensive it was, just as far as pricing goes, because if you go to conventions, you realize very quickly that racks up a bill.
Quick.
And I definitely, it wasn't even that bad.
I've gone to conventions.
Catherine Tate in The Office, because I binge watched The Office last year, and I had never seen it before, and I didn't know she was in it, so that when I got to those episodes, I was hyped.
Nice. I have not seen her in The Office. There's another show to add on to this very long scroll of shows that I need to watch.
She's a very unique character.
The Office would make a great weather report as well.
Oh, I can totally do that. They're in, Scranton, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Oh, I could do that. Oh, easily. Adding that onto the list now, too, right underneath Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you'll have to check out the upcoming movies and put yourself... You've probably already done this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
No, I look and keep up with all the shows and movies that are coming out, everything that people are talking about. I'm going to do one probably for The Mandalorian and just whatever's really up and people really like, because I think when I show it to people and I show them my forecasts, the smile that comes across their face is just, it makes my day. And that's my whole life pretty much, is I just want to make people happy and smile. And so if I can do that by being the biggest geek on television, I'm going to do that.
It's just fun to see people having fun.
Exactly. And that's the thing, going from, I was a very shy person in middle school to now being on television and doing this and putting it on Twitter nonetheless for other people to see. I think I realized that if I'm the biggest geek in the room, people will be less afraid to geek out as well, because they're like, oh, I'll never match that level, so I'll be fine to let my geek flag fly. Hers is like in the stratosphere. So I found that method works. Just geek out and everyone else will enjoy it.
Well, those are great words to live by for sure. And let's take a look at some news for DuckTales. And I'm trying to think. I think we've got some stuff outside of DuckTales. So here's our news for DuckTalks. First thing, for those of you who maybe missed it, like me, DuckTales, the new miniseries Fairs and Scares, came out last week on New Year's Day. Was that supposed to come out earlier and then it got pushed back?
I believe it was supposed to be a December release, and then it ended up coming in January. And on the first of the year, I thought it was a great way to start off the year, especially since we don't have episodes to watch.
I'm going to blame it on that. That's why I missed it. No, I did not get my issue at my comic shop because he was closed, so it took me a few days, and then I have not gotten to my stack of comics to read. Just been a little busy. But Pirate, I understand you have read this issue. This is our second miniseries, so for those who maybe have not been reading the comics, the DuckTales comic premiered before the show. We got a little bit of insight into kind of where Donald and the boys were before the show, and then we got some insight into Donald, Della, and Scrooge's relationship before the show, and then we started having issues about stories that happened between the episodes of the show. So we got a lot of content there, and it was something we were enjoying. And then around issue, I think they made it to 20, when the comic just kind of disappeared for a little while. But we stayed on top of it, and we got we had heard it's not canceled yet. Then we got the announcement, or the news, I guess. It wasn't an announcement. It just happened to be on, I think we found it on the Premiere listings or something. But anyway, Diamond. It's not. Is it Premiere or is it Diamond? Side thought. Anyway.
Probably both.
Yeah, it's probably both. It's Diamond, but I don't think it's called Diamond. Anyway, let me back up. But then we got the news that the series was not coming back with an issue 21. We were moving to a format of miniseries, and it appears that, at least for the time being, we were told at least through 2019, it looks like maybe a little bit longer, we're getting 3-part miniseries. But our observation is these are still single issues that are not related. It looks like the titles are being used to relate the I wanted to call it episodes. This is common for us when we talk about the comics. But the issues are related by their title. This one's Fairs and Scares. What is it? I guess the first issue was about fairs.
No, not really. Good guess. Yeah, so we're not going to go into what actually happens because I don't want to do spoilers. But this one, the cover, we'll talk about the covers because we can do that. This cover has two launch pads on the cover. So what's going on there, right?
Wait, I don't know that my cover had 2 launch pads.
Well, you got the A cover. You know, there's
that's right.
And a retail incentive, but the B cover has 2 launch pads on it. So double the launch pad, double the fun. Yeah,
my local comic shop. So my old local comic shop closed in 2019, and I had gotten him to the point that I was about to start getting B covers because we were ordering enough comics, and it was amazing because I'd gotten other people in the area to read DuckTales, and then he closed. And now my current guy will buy my copy, and he buys 1 extra to put on the shelf because I insist people will buy it. and it you know, he doesn't have a backlog of them, so somebody's buying them. But yeah, I'm not getting B covers.
It's issue number 2, which will be out next month, has a fair on it. So you were close.
Oh, so any insight into how the title relates?
Fairs. Oh, so the fair would be episode number or issue number 2. I did it as well. Issue number 2 is the fair. Some medieval festival that looks like Huey, Dewey, and Louie attend. Issue number 3 they cover is really fun, and it has Scrooge and Agent 22, Mrs. Beakley. As
Oh, wait a minute.
22.
That's the issue written by Joe, right? Joe Caramagna?
Yeah, our friend Joe wrote that one. So we're looking forward to that. And it also has Bombi the Zombie on the front cover, which it's always cool. We know that from the Don Rosa stories and Carl Barks. And it's always good. This seems like a really cool issue that will fill in some of the backstory for the episodes of DuckTales.
I'm trying to remember the cover. I know I saw it. Does it? It looks like an earlier Scrooge and Beakley, right? It's not present day.
Yeah, it definitely comes from that era from the Gummy Bears episode.
Okay, so we're maybe getting
where he worked for Shush.
Do you think they'll actually tell the story of how Bombi got put on that island in this issue, or maybe it'll just be a running gag for a while of him having to get away from him? I'm just wondering if it all happened at one time, or if it was an ongoing thing for Scrooge for a while. Like, I can imagine them being in the middle of some spy stuff, and all of a sudden this monster bursts in, and Beakley's like freaking out, and Scrooge's like, "Oh, it's that guy again."
Well, Joe wrote it, so we know it's going to be spectacular.
All of those issues are spectacular. Make sure you pick up issue 1. It may still be on your comic book stands if you go by the shop today. But if not, let them know that you would like to get it. I'm sure they can get it for you. And there are also resources online. If you have trouble getting it, reach out to us. We can give you some pointers. If you like to read it digitally, usually you can get a pretty good deal on them through Amazon and Comixology. All right. Also in the news, Owl House premieres on the 10th. That's like in the past for the people listening to this episode, but that's in just a few days.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking forward to Owl House. One of the people that worked on a couple of early episodes of DuckTales, Dana Therese, who also worked on Gravity Falls, is given this new show to work on, the Owl House. So if it has any kind of flair of DuckTales mashed with Gravity Falls, we know it's going to be awesome. And it's great to get new shows pushed out there, because let's get the new shows out there so that DuckTales season 3 can eventually start.
The shows that they're premiering right now are all looking very good from the animation standpoint. Have you watched any of Amphibia yet?
Yeah, my kids loved Amphibia.
See, I was wondering.
I can't say I loved it as well. As Bill Farmer's in it. It's a great show.
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of episodes, and I have enjoyed them, but my girls don't enjoy it. So it's one of those shows that I've got to have time and not have something else to watch. So I've not seen a lot of it yet, but it seems pretty good. I'm looking forward to giving Owl House a chance.
Amphibia was hard too, because they kind of did the same thing that DuckTales did, where they just did the bomb episodes. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's great for an established show, but something that's just airing just to throw everything out there is kind of hard to pick up on.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I watched the first episode and maybe the second episode a week later, and I didn't realize there were already a ton of episodes out, or however long it was. It was really strange when I realized they had done an episode dump, and they were just all there.
Katie, have you seen Amphibia?
I haven't. I see the commercials for it all the time popping up when I watch DuckTales, so I'm gonna have to add that again to the list.
This list is getting long.
I'm gonna be drowning in this list eventually, and that's a good thing.
There is a lot of entertainment out there for sure.
You never get bored.
No, honestly, the biggest problem that I have when I turn on Disney Plus is deciding what to give my time. I mean, what am I going to watch now? We're going to talk more about that here in a moment. So let's see. Tad Stones will be at Long Beach Comic Expo January 11th through the 12th. He has had some phenomenal sketches, or they're not even sketches anymore. He's putting out full-blown works of art. Get by his booth and get some art for sure. and meet a great man. I can't say enough about the opportunities that I've had to meet Tad Stones. Just an exceptional human being who loves his fans and does not. It's like it's so funny. Like, I didn't know what to expect the first time that I was going to meet him, and it's just like meeting an old friend.
Aw.
Well, now I want to just fly out there and actually meet him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm hoping he adds more conventions, maybe something out east.
Yeah.
Especially now that he's doing those watercolors. I mean, I want to see him again, but I want to buy some of those watercolors.
Yeah, and I recently just tried my hand at making fan art and stuff, and holy cow, it is difficult. So I have even more respect now for artists than I ever did before, because to hone in that craft, especially with watercolor, that takes a lot of skill and time.
Yeah, it's been really fun watching him kind of start to do it, because he's been doing it to 2019. I think was when he started doing watercolor with his Darkwing sketches, and it's been really cool seeing that transition, and to the point that, I mean, they're just really gorgeous works of art now. I really, really like it. And he's the creator of the character, also of Rescue Rangers. So, I mean, it's a good piece to have. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Tad Stones. I could try, but I could not. So let's dive into some Duck merch. This first item truly excited me, because whenever I walk into a Lego store or the Lego section of the Lego aisle of a store, my daughter goes automatically to the Friends section and the DC superheroes. Marvel, get your act together. I need some Marvel Friends type Legos. But whenever we do that, I check out these BrickHeads, and I always look to see if there's anything that appeals to me, because I think they're kind of cool. It's kind of like Funko Pop meets Lego. I'm sure that's not what they want me to say about it, but that's what it is. And I honestly always look for a Donald Duck one, because I think that would be cool, ever since I saw the Mickey and Minnie. And sure enough, we get word that not only is there going to be a Donald Duck one with 101 pieces, I might add, but they're also doing a 2-pack with Goofy and Pluto.
Yeah, and they're really well done. And now I wish I would have picked up Mickey and Minnie when they came out for the Mickey's 90th.
It's exactly what I thought.
And so, like, when I saw this last night, and after I geeked out about it, I went looking for Mickey and Minnie online, and they're all sold out. And it's a retired set on the Lego Shop and on Amazon. So now, if you wanted to go back and get Mickey and Minnie, they're like $30-$40.
Well, and they were probably out when Toys R Us was closing, so they probably ended up in a lot of those clearances, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, a BrickHead is like $9.99 for one. So, and a 2-pack is either $15 or $20. So, and it was rumored that BrickHeads were discontinued, the whole set, and they have, because I think they mass produced them the first 1 or 2 years, and there wasn't that many more releases. And then the Rise of Skywalker saw a Sith Trooper and Kylo Ren 2-pack. So I guess more are coming, and now we're getting these Disney ones. So that's great news.
And last year they did that. I don't remember what they called it, but basically you got one that you got to make your own thing out of. And it was just supposed to have a bunch of extra pieces. And I was looking at it, trying to decide how to make a Donald out of it, what pieces I would need. And that's kind of one of those projects that's on the back burner. It's a note somewhere on my phone. And now I don't have to fool with it, because I should be able to find one.
Yeah, for $10, this is a steal. I could totally see this on the desk of all the people that work on Disney TV animation. It's one of those cool things you have to put on your desk.
And I got to have the Goofy too. I just got to figure out how to make him Goof Troop Goofy. There's some classic fans who are really booing that right now. Pirate's muted. He's one of them.
Oh, I'm not muted.
We've got a couple of more items in Duck merch. These are very exciting, one of which we've talked about for a while, and we've been waiting on, and the news broke, and then we realized today we hadn't talked about it on the podcast because it came out over the holidays. And then another item that we talked about for the first time this week, and somebody... that we talked about for the first time this week and then found out it was a thing. So without further ado, Mondo Scrooge McDuck Tiki mugs are available to order.
I
Yes,
swear, you guys are the reason I don't have money. There's so many good merchandise pieces.
We're the reason we don't have money either.
At least we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's true. So yeah, this Mondo Tiki mug we found out about last year, and it's kind of taken a long time to get to this one. Mondo started a Disney Tiki series, and it had the first one came out during the summer, which was Sorcerer Apprentice Mickey, and this one finally we get Scrooge McDuck, and he costs $40, and it's mostly a white tiki mug of Scrooge with the money bin in the back, and they call it duck beak orange wipe color, so it has orange accents throughout the tiki mug, and if you want to really drink out of it, you can, because it does hold 24 ounces. I did pre-order it. It's going to go somewhere in my kitchen, but this is the regular edition, so they're also going to release variants, because Mondo does do that. They like money, so they'll release eventually there'll be a Scrooge McDuck silver variant and then a gold variant of a chrome coloring for Scrooge McDuck, and we'll let you know when those are available, but they'll probably be a lot more than $40.
So I was very excited about this when we first saw it. And then we saw the gold variant was at a convention somewhere. Someone got some pictures and sent us, and that looked cool. I'm not a huge fan of the duckbill wipe. I'm really hoping there's going to be like a red or a blue that comes out. You said that they have a track record of variants. What do you think the chances are that we get like a regular variant? You know what I mean? Like a blue one. You
mean just like instead of orange and it's blue all over it?
Yeah, or maybe it's blue with some kind of weathering or a white.
Because the Sorcerer Apprentice one was completely multicolored.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was $80. So
correct.
Yeah. Spent $40 more for that. So I got scared because I thought they were going to release a multicolor one of Scrooge in his red coat and then one in his blue coat, and then I'd have to buy all these multiples. So yeah, they'll probably do that as well, because if you look at some of their stuff, they'll have like a T-Rex, and they'll have every color T-Rex, or Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and it'll have several different Stay Puft Marshmallow Man coloring. So,
but it's kind of a gamble, right? Like if I hold off, maybe they just put out the duck orange bill, whatever, white with gold and silver, and then I'm like, oh no, I missed the $40 one.
Yeah, and even if you order it, it's not shipped until March.
Yeah, and we've looked up Mondo shipping before. It's like $12 shipping or something, right?
Yeah, I think my total. I ordered it. My birthday's in March, so this will be a present I got myself. But I think my total was like $52.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was their shipping's a little pricier, but you got to think it's a ceramic mug. You want them to package it correctly, so yeah, you're gonna pay a little extra for that.
And also, the same day they put this on the website, they also put 4 different Ducktales pins, which are really nice looking. But then, you know what? Do I want the 4 pins or do I want the mug, which would be the same price if you add them all up?
Yeah, I definitely would prefer the mug because I don't collect pins other than the pins I own.
Say that, and we always buy them.
Have you seen the mug, Katie?
No, I haven't.
It is nice.
I really want it.
Yeah, so you've got Scrooge on one side and then the money bin on the back.
And a Beagle Boy.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a Beagle Boy on it. And it's classic. Is it OG money bin?
Yeah.
It's from the DuckTales series.
Nice.
So it is.
Yeah,
a
I'm just
DuckTales
starting to get into DuckTales merchandise. I just got my first set of minifigures, and I'm very pleased. So now I'm just gonna get more and more. Anytime you guys put it up on Twitter with a link, I click on the link. I'm like, oh, there goes the paycheck.
Oh no! Is that the Funko Mystery Mini figures?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. It's like the 7 set with Scrooge and Launchpad and Donald and the boys and Webby.
Okay, the Disney Store one. They have the little gold base.
Yeah. Yep. My family got me that for the holidays.
Those
then they got me.
are great.
I told them how I was looking for a number 1 dime, and somehow found out that you can get it with the money bin set from Fat Mojo. So I got the money bin specifically for the dime, but now we have minifigures to put inside the money bin. So
yeah,
it's fun to see how the community is using that Disney Store set, because you can use those for like cake toppers for birthday parties.
Oh yeah, you can use them for ornaments.
I've seen people make their own versions of board games, and they use those.
Oh, those are so cool.
Yeah, they have the nice circular bottoms that look like a Candyland type piece you move around, or Monopoly or something. So that's really cool. And then there's the really big merchandise we found out today. It's funny how we have merch drops on nights that we record podcasts. It's funny how that works.
No, I think it was last night or was it today that you mentioned 1UP? Was it today?
I was talking about it a couple of days ago, because I'm a big fan of the arcade 1UP, or 1UP Arcade as they like to be called, because that's their name. They make like 4-foot tall arcades, because you really can't. There's not a lot of places you can go nowadays to go to a real arcade and play the classics, and they make personal use home arcades that you could start building. And I know one really big one. There's Street Fighter, there's Mortal Kombat, and Pac-Man, and all these other ones. But a big one last year was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade. I know a friend of our show, Jason, got that set, and it's just like if you were going to the bowling alley and there's an arcade there and you're playing Ninja Turtles.
Oh man!
So
you used to always see 4 people on that game at one time.
Yeah, you spent so much money too.
Mm-hmm.
I know they re-released them for like the NES. I know I had that for Ninja Turtles 2 and 3, but anyway, I was really a dream arcade set to have in my house would be like DuckTales NES. I love that game so much. It's one of my favorite games. And I know at one of the arcade conventions, because apparently that's a thing, they have arcade conventions. Somebody had built a custom DuckTales cabinet, and they had an emulator in it, and they could play DuckTales NES and a whole buttload of games on the emulator. But that's my dream. I wanted Arcade 1 to make it 1UP Arcade. Keep on messing their name up. I wanted them to make that, and it looks like they had a CES 2020 is going on in Las Vegas right now. And Arcade 1UP, we're going to call them that, has a big spot there. And they're showing off all the cool stuff. Like they're going to have an NBA Jam cabinet.
Oh.
And it's going to have, the cool part is it's going to have online capabilities. So you can play against other people that have that cabinet, the classic NBA Jam style. So they have that. I think there was a Marvel versus Capcom. There's a new pinball machines that they're coming out with, but there was on a spectacular shelf. There was these new like mini arcade that you could put like on a table or something. And there's a box that had DuckTales 1 and 2, where you'll have this mini arcade machine that will play both of those games.
Oh man,
it is crazy. Because we were just talking about it. And I've already tweeted them, hey, remember that idea? Thanks for making it.
Yeah.
But I don't know when it's going to come out. They said, I watched some people's walkthrough of the booth, and they've said 2020. So hope some point
just
this year.
Season 3.
Right? Yes, season 3. Maybe we'll see what comes out first. But then also next to the mini arcade, that wasn't it. That wasn't all the Disney Afternoon they had. You might have remembered used to have plug and play games where you could stick a wire into your not flat screen TV, but it would play like classic games, like you could play Pac-Man and Galaga and all those Atari games on your TV. Well, they have a really cool retro color, like teal and orange and all the Disney Afternoon colors. They have a Scrooge McDuck controller, and it says it's wireless, so there'll probably be some kind of toggle, wire toggle where you can connect to, but wireless. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the box. It says HDMI dongle. So
yeah.
Okay, so the image they used here, I've just noticed this. The image they used here is from DuckTales Remastered.
Yeah, so it's going to be it comes with 6 games, so it's going to be obviously the same one. So DuckTales 2, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2, Tailspin, and Darkwing Duck.
Now, I know what our listeners are thinking. You guys already own this on your PlayStation 4. But stop and think about this for a moment. You're going on vacation. You're not going to pack the PS4 to play DuckTales and DuckTales 2. But you'll pack this controller.
Yeah, it's just a cool looking controller too. So you got to own it just for that.
I wonder how much these go for. Do you know if this is a new item for them?
It's a brand new item, and I went on YouTube and I saw someone's walkthrough, and I believe the guy said they're going to retail somewhere between 30 and 50.
Okay.
I don't know if he's talking about the mini cabinet or this controller, because that seems a little high for the controller. But
yeah, seems like the mini cabinet.
Yeah. The other thing, in addition to Disney Afternoon Collection, I believe they had a Mega Man controller with the same type of multiple games on it. And they had a Mickey Mania controller it's a red Mickey controller, and it's going to have 5 games on it. And I know they had some really great Disney classic Sega Genesis games that would be perfect for.
Wasn't it like Castles of Illusion or something like that? Was a Mickey game?
Yeah, they had a Castle of Illusions 1 and 2. Yeah. They had a game called Mickey Mania, which was fantastic, where it brought you through all of classic Mickey cartoons that you got to play through. And I'm looking forward to hearing what else is going to be on that. But it was just a big surprise to see all this tonight, because it's things you dream of that are actually happening.
So the big scoop that we haven't heard yet is they also need to have a Donald Duck one that comes with Going Quackers, World of Illusion, Quackshot, and Maui Mallard.
Well, that's if everybody buys enough of these Disney Afternoon and Mickey ones, which if we start plugging it as much as we have all the other stuff, we'll make a lot of people spend money on this.
Including me.
Katie knows. Yeah.
Katie's like, oh, you guys. So I'm also noticing, because we've got a couple of images that you've shared in our notes, and you've probably retweeted this, so people probably see these. I'm noticing that on the Mickey one, there's some icons on the side showing Bluetooth and some other things that I can't see. One of them looks like Rewind, so it looks like this will have the Rewind feature that the Disney Afternoon Collection has on the PlayStation and Xbox, which is a good feature for those of us who maybe, aren't the best side scrollers in the world.
Yeah, that Tailspin game.
Or platformers. Yeah, you can't play Tailspin without the Rewind. And then eventually you give up anyway.
Game is tough.
You know what? We need to find a good, not a walkthrough, but a playthrough of the Tailspin game. Someone who does just an exceptional job, and then have them on the podcast to talk about it. Because I want to know how many hours went into actually completing that game in that manner. If there's anybody out there who's done it,
I remember when I played it for the Extra Life charity that year when we did it, and unfortunately I drew the Tailspin card and had to play it. I kept having to do the rewind, but I was so stuck in a moment where I rewind and there was no way to get out of it.
Yeah.
and I rage quit. Sorry, it was for charity, but I had to rage quit, and we moved on to the next game, which was Darkwing Duck, and I think you didn't finish that one either.
Well, I did finish Rescue. What you did DuckTales 2, or did I do DuckTales 2?
You did DuckTales 2, which is I still haven't played.
No kid. Oh, Rescue Rangers 2?
Rescue Rangers 2 or DuckTales 2.
They're
I probably
fun.
played Rescue Rangers 2 because I feel like that's the card I drew to play in the charity, but I haven't played DuckTales 2. I need to get on that.
So we both did 3. I think I had DuckTales 2 and both Darkwing and Rescue Rangers. No, you had Rescue Rangers. Anyway, that's been forever ago. People don't want to hear this conversation. They were hard. But I want to find someone who like just zips through it, like a speed run. And let's get that person on the podcast to talk about it because they are a phenomenal NES player.
It's not us.
It's no. Those Darkwing Duck ghosts, I still don't get how to get past that level. I still try it from time to time and rage quit. Have you beat Darkwing Duck?
Yeah. I beat him. I mean, I had that game for when I was a kid. So
see, that's one I didn't have. I had Rescue Rangers. I beat Rescue Rangers. I had DuckTales. I beat DuckTales. I did not have the sequels, and I never even knew Tailspin existed. I don't know why I was so lucky growing up, but I never knew it existed. But yeah, how do you beat the ghosts? Maybe we need to have a podcast episode about that.
You don't run into them.
How do you get... Anyway, I'll have to play it to remember why I get frustrated with them. Yeah, these look great. Something that we'll probably buy. I would imagine these controllers would sell quickly at $20. At $30, they may be a little harder to sell, but us hardcore fans would probably buy them. If those controllers are $50, I have those 6 games.
Right, they go on sale.
That's what I was going to say, but I would gladly buy it on sale. The cabinet, though, is pretty cool. I have nowhere to put it. Is my first thought. Like, for it to be big enough, I mean, I know it's not a 4-foot cabinet, which, honestly, I've already got a place spec'd out for the Ninja Turtles one, so I could put a DuckTales one there. But the little cabinet that you play on a table, not sure. These look great, though.
That would go in Lexi's room.
It'll go in Lexi's room. The recording studio.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, so great things. We'll share these online, and for those of you who check out the website, we'll make sure that you know about them too. I know we get some feedback from time to time that you guys don't. Not everyone goes to Twitter, so we'll try to make sure we share that and be on the lookout for more news on those. The Brickheads, I feel like the one of these that we might see the soonest, that would be the one. Would be the Brickheads, but we'll try to let everyone know. I need those. Sorry, I scrolled back. All right. Before we end this episode, I wanted to bring back a Frankly Speaking because I was going through Frank Angone's Tumblr account and found a question and an answer that I wanted us to bring up. And then that'll be it for this episode because it's already an hour. Wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So let's see. Frank was asked, and for some reason Tumblr doesn't tell me when, but Frank was asked this question by Joanna1910. And Joanna says, the season 3 poster shows a group of characters jumping out of a plane. Who's driving the plane? I thought it was only the heroes or good guys of the show because I saw Scrooge, the kids, etc. Then I noticed Don Carnage, who's a villain. Goldie and Gandra are also in it, and they're more like anti-heroes. So my question is, why these characters for the poster? Are they the most important? Do they all have something in common? And sorry if I'm looking too deep into this. I like that she added that because, no, you're not looking too deep into this. I think this was an excellent question. I think this came up during our interview with Frank a little bit, but I can't remember what his response was. So, but his response here on Tumblr was very insightful. So Frank says, the answer to who's flying the plane is no one. You'll notice LP jumped out last. So Launchpad's the furthest one from the foreground. He jumped out after everybody else, but there goes the Sunchaser. or Cloud Slayer, whatever's your poison. As for why all the people we have on the poster were on the poster, the whole thing was a tribute to those old Disney Afternoon promo posters where you had a bunch of characters from different shows hanging out. So we started with heroes from our show and then did prominent Disney Afternoon characters. We also put Zeus and Carnage on there because we needed more flyers. There were actually 2 characters cut for legal reasons. One has already appeared on the show. One has a cameo in season 3. So I want to jump to the end of his response, but about midway through, he mentions that Zeus and Carnage are on there just because they're flyers. And I think that's hilarious because I've been trying to figure out why those 2 were on there. Zeus, I'm kind of more okay with, but I wondered if it meant he would get a character arc where he ended up being the good guy. Maybe not possible. Maybe not going to happen. Carnage, definitely, I was not expecting to end up being a good guy. So now we know it's just because they fly. And then 2 characters cut for legal reasons. And one of them has been in the show already. And then one will make a cameo in season 3. So it's a Disney Afternoon homage.
Well, we know Melon Mickey is on the poster, so
Right.
Who else could it be?
Well, and legal reasons, I mean, it was mandated they can't use Mickey, but I don't think anybody would sue them.
Yeah.
So, let's see. You know,
Maybe the Wuzzles related, because didn't Frank say something about they're not really Wuzzles, they're something else.
yes, so I'm wondering because they're aren't they on here? Yeah. So they are on here, but he says they were removed. So, because I was wondering that too. I wondered if it was the Wuzzles because he's made the comment a couple times. I'm beginning to think the Wuzzles will be a cameo. Like it's going to be, we're going to get this. Someone's going to be telling the story about something that happened in the past, and they're going to bring up that this evil scientist did this thing, and we'll see an image of them, and that might be all we get. But we only see a flyer on there, but Disney owns the Wuzzles, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, but even in our interview with him, he mentioned something about, and I need to go back and listen to that. He mentioned something in that interview that made me think they couldn't use the Wuzzles, or maybe the name.
Yeah, even when he announced it in San Diego Comic-Con, he didn't call them Wuzzles. He just said, some creatures that are half this animal and half this animal.
Yeah, he gave their official description. I can't remember what it is exactly right now, and I'm sure somebody's screaming it at us. It's not Katie, or she's on mute.
Oh, I'm good.
You haven't gotten to the Wuzzles yet, but they're not on Disney Plus, are they?
Not yet.
No.
Put it on the list,
They
Katie.
come up.
Yeah, you don't have to put them on the list yet. They're not on Disney Plus. So that's interesting. I'm wondering why it's a CBS, Michael Eisner, Disney Television. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think it would be them. So who else could it be? It would have to be Disney, but it's one of the characters, and we don't know that they're related. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking that maybe they're related. But they don't have to be related in any way. They don't have to be from the same show. Why would legal reasons?
Yeah, if it's all Disney Afternoon, you'd think they probably would let them use it.
Yeah. Well, my first thought was Rescue Rangers, because we know there's a movie in the works. Mm-hmm. And we know at one point, and this was one of those questions that I meant to ask Frank and didn't. We knew at one point Rescue Rangers was off the table. Like they were told, we've got a project, you can't use them. And then, well, I don't know that we knew that. I had heard that it was off the table, that Mickey and Rescue Rangers were off the table. Maybe I should talk to that person. But yeah, so they were off the table, but then so I was totally caught off guard We were totally caught off guard when they were in the images at that was at San Diego, right? San Diego Comic-Con. So we were really surprised by that, and they're on the posters. But that was the first one that I thought of, and I was like, no, they're on the poster.
I think I might have cracked it. So
okay,
maybe they don't have. Maybe they're not allowed to use Baloo, and Baloo's driving the Sea Duck.
Okay. So I mean, if
Louie.
Well, but one of them's already been on DuckTales, and one of them will have a cameo in season 3.
Never mind, I'll do it.
And they're probably flyers.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to be flyers, but because not everyone here flies. So yeah, so I don't know that I have any guesses at the moment, but I thought it would be. One, I liked his answer that, no, there's no real reason why Carnage is there other than he's in an airplane. I liked that. And then two, I thought we'd end on a mystery. I think it'd be fun. Everyone, send us your suggestions. Who do you think it is? Who do you think was... There's 2 characters left off the poster. One has appeared in DuckTales. One will have a cameo in Season 3, but for legal reasons, they're not on the Season 3 poster. Let us know. So I think with that, we're going to call it a night. Before we go, make sure you check out the website, DuckTalks.com. That's our blog where we keep essentially our notes for the podcast. And you can keep up to speed. No, you can keep up to date with, announcements on Duck merch and anything that we can find on the internet, Duck related. And check us out on Twitter at DuckTalks. Honestly, we're more active there right now just because there's not a lot of news and we can have more fun over on Twitter. So if you're on that platform, check us out and you can follow us individually. My name's Mitch and I am at Infinirama616.
And I'm at the Pirate Steven.
You can also find Katie on Twitter.
Absolutely, at StormChaser Kate. I'm sure you guys will find tornado videos as well as DuckTales. It's literally a hurricane.
Now, I'm actually going to have to go there just to watch the hurricane videos.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this spring, I actually do chase tornadoes. It's one of my favorite things to do. You guys will see a ton of pictures.
Nice. I didn't ask, when you post the videos, are you posting those just to Twitter or are you also putting them on YouTube?
I'm thinking I'm going to upload them to YouTube. I've just been waiting for this whole, legal COPPA or whatever it is thing to blow over. But mostly it's just on Twitter. Can't air them on air for obvious reasons. But Twitter's been a really good platform for that.
It is, definitely. Some of the videos that I'm most proud of from Duck Talks are on Twitter only because we don't want to get hit with a copyright thing over on YouTube. Because you can just share it and let people enjoy it. That Perfect Strangers video that Josh made, I turn that on once a week and watch it and laugh. So that's one of my favorite things.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's going to do it for us this week. Until next time.
Stay glom golden.
Have fun.
Ooh, she came with one. All right.
That's just my motto for life.
That's a good motto to have. All right. January 7th, right? I don't have my watch.
Yep.
I have my phone. I have to change the screen, so it's just easier to ask.
It's Tuesday, and this is episode 90.
90.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are usually the best ones.
They are.
Yeah.
Reviewing stuff's hard.
I swear my cat just jumped off of the refrigerator. He knows I'm doing something and he's trying to get my attention. Oh my gosh.
Look at me.
How did you even get up there?
It's the week of Tuesday, January 7th, and you're listening to episode 90 of DuckTalks. And I told myself today I was going to do that differently.
How are you going to do it differently?
Well, here, let me give it a try. It just doesn't, that's the natural flow that it comes out. No, not being intentional. So intentionally, it's the week of Tuesday, January 7th, and you're listening to episode 90 of DuckTalks. You catch what's different? It's like a whole new me.
It's a whole new 2020 Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the year's all about, right? Trying new things, doing everything different.
It still sounded the same.
That's not our intro either. I'm cutting that out. Boy, that was a tangent. All right.
You're like, oh, all this is going out.
This is all going out. All right.
That's a little too violent for our show.
I know.